y'all with another sports day. Raaj, I'm in the building. We got Reid. Adrian, what's good?
What's going on, fellas?
Yo,
Another stream, another stream. So, hottest story right now out of East Lansing. Mel Tucker currently suspended without pay. The accuser, Brenda Tracy, said that she never wanted any of this to go public. She never intended for it to go public. Somebody leaked her information. He's currently suspended without pay. November 2021 signed 10-year, 95 million, fully guaranteed contract. So, Adrian, where are you at with Mel Tucker right now in this whole situation?
First and foremost, I just want to say nobody condones sexual harassment or violence against women or any of that kind of nature, man. It's a bad situation, man. It's a bad look, especially on the Spartans program, especially Mel Tucker. My biggest thing, and I'm gonna make it very plain and simple. What an idiot! Just an absolute idiot. You decide that you're going to not one is he's married, but he decides to in essence cheat on his wife, and then he does it with a woman who was a victim of rape. Come on, man, you have to be smarter than that. Regardless if what he's saying is true, he's come out and said it was consensual. But come on, man, use your brain. You're throwing away $80 million. That the school's gonna evidently fire you eventually, even though their hearing's supposed to come the Spartans bye week, the 5th and the 6th. And it's not even about. I'm not gonna get into the criminal thing, but he broke the morality clause in his contract, which means the school's going to find a way to pay him, and they're going to get out of the big settlement. So if I'm from a sports angle, if I'm looking at it, I think this is going to benefit the school because he hasn't been doing a good job anyways, and he was teetered on the brink of getting fired anyways in his next year or so. If the Spartans needed to get 7 or 8 wins, and so they'll be able to get out of that $80 million contract sooner than later, rather than I just think it's a sad situation, man, especially for East Lansing, man. My whole thing, Mel Tucker, just a flat out idiot, man. Better decision, especially when she's coming to the school and talking to you about how to treat women and be respectful to women, and then you go and try to engage in a relationship with her. So that's not setting a good example for one. It's just, like I said, I just can't believe it's an idiot. But all in all, in the sports end, it might be a win for the program because they might be able to actually find a better coach to take over this program. Because in all honesty, Michigan State could be easily a top 25 program every year. They just got a new facility. They're willing to spend the money on the coaches. So I think this could be a blessing in disguise at the end of the day. But just the whole situation is just crazy, man. When that news dropped Sunday morning, I was like, whoa, didn't see that coming. But, it's tough. A lot of they're going to be rooting for the players to be successful in this offseason for the season. But, it's a very bad timing, too, especially with the big game coming against Washington. But, man, it's tough.
Yeah. Reid, is there any way you see Michigan State bringing Mel Tucker back?
I think when a situation like this happens, Adrian basically said everything I was going to say, which is touching all on perfect points. I don't think they can bring him back, and I don't think they will, just because of the past stuff that's happened with the whole Nasser thing and now this. And like you said, you bring her in as a consultant to teach your young men on what not to do and how to treat a woman right. And then you go and pull a stunt like this. Like you said, you just have to be smarter. I think, I agree. It's kind of a godsend for Michigan State because I think that Tucker he wasn't really that great of a coach that he was showing in the past. He had one good year, and I think his recruiting was lackluster. I don't think he was really a leader of men, as people like to say. So yeah, I just think it looks bad on the whole school right now, and you can't bring him back. You're going to be lucky getting out of that money. Hopefully you can find a good coach somewhere else. I haven't looked at who's available, obviously, yet because it's a whole new situation. But I think they're going to lose a lot of players too. I think a lot of kids are going to be getting called from other schools, or entering a transfer portal after this because they're going to want to get out, or they're going to want to, they got sold a dream by Mel Tucker, and maybe that's not going to happen now that he's gone. So I think they're going to lose a few players.
Yeah, it seems like Michigan State and program's trending down now from this scandal. I'm sure Mel's going to want that money, so I know they're going to fight over the money. I don't know. I know he's suspended without pay at the moment, so I don't know if they're going to be able to get out the contract or not. But it just seems like a big web of BS, man. And yeah, I don't think Tuck's coming back either. And yeah, it seems like the program's going to be trending down here on out. So
yeah, this coaching whatever. I'm not gonna worry about this till the end of the season. One thing I will say though, they'll be able to get a head start on looking into coaches. I mean, after we figure out this hearing, but I think ultimately they made a decision. They couldn't just fire him before the Central Michigan game and the Richmond game because they didn't have all the information available ready to let him go. That way they could avoid getting sued. So, and then they also got to worry about Brendan Tracy possibly suing them. But with that being said, they can get a good jump start on the coaching search. And if this is probably the biggest coaching hire they're going to make in their program history right now, because this is going to determine if their program is going to go up, stay stable, or continue to slide. Like, it's just the optics just look bad right now. But we'll see what happens. We got a few months until we really figure out what's going to happen with this.
Yeah, it's definitely very important, especially with the whole Big Ten changing now. You got UCLA, USC, all these different teams coming in. The whole Big Ten is about to switch up, so it's very important what coach they bring in and what direction he can get the ship going. So yeah, for sure. So Reid,
I got a quick bit to add to that.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, now that they have a spot open like this, I mean, I don't know who the best person would be. Obviously, Dion had his Jackson State run, so that kind of helped him. But do you think there's a former NFL player, or anything like that they should try and bring in or bring onto the coaching staff this year to see it? Because D'Antonio's, there as a consultant or an assistant, or he's back. I mean, so do you think there's any guy like that? I know Warren Sapp is on Dion's staff. Maybe call him. I don't know how good of a coach he would be. I'm just saying, throwing names out there of guys that are coaching right now over at CU. So, I mean, do you guys think that's a possibility? I know it's a risky one to take. Dion's kind of an alien.
I mean, me personally, I would just kind of just let D'Antonio be there. He's already been in the shadows a little bit. Just have him be that God figure. Somebody that has a role model. I know he didn't do good his last few years, but he's already been behind there. Just let Harlan Barnett just run the program and just have somebody who's shown some consistency of being a good role model to get these guys through the season, and then you can just figure it out. I mean, in essence, he needs 90 days, 3 months to just get through the season. Hopefully they can possibly get 6 wins against a bowl game, and that at least keep the program stable. But that's what y'all can do, because if you think about it, look what Wisconsin did back in the day when they had a couple coaching changes, and Barry Alvarez came in and kind of just helped, cruise until they could get the coaching search. Same thing with Oklahoma with Bob Stoops. So I think they're kind of following in those kind of footsteps, and then they're kind of just really right now just taking it day by day and just really trying to figure out what happens in October, and then they'll probably go from there, because as you know, they got an interim AD and a president. So it's a lot of moving parts right now in East Lansing.
Yeah, for sure. Or maybe even bringing a former player coach, a player. I mean, where's Drew Stanton at these days? Bring Drew Stanton.
Good question.
Call up Orlovsky from ESPN. Get him
I wouldn't be mad at that. So Reid, this Saturday, 5:00, Michigan State. They got Washington at home. 16.5 point dogs. You think MSU covers?
No, I think Washington is going to put up. I think it's going to be like 42 to maybe 10. I think Michigan State's going to get lucky with maybe one touchdown in the beginning of the game, and they'll find a field goal. But I think Penix is on fire. Washington's looking way too good for State to even come close to covering that. Especially now with Tucker gone. I mean, not like Tucker did much coaching anyway, but I think even then it's just I think morale's gonna be low at East Lansing.
I actually agree with you, but I'm gonna change my stance on how hard they play. I think morale's actually they're gonna be inspired to play, because people think they're gonna quit, and I think they're gonna play hard. They're just not good enough to compete with Washington right now. So I say Washington's they're gonna keep the game close, probably the first quarter, then Washington's gonna pull away with ease. I say 42-14, Washington easy. Michigan State just doesn't have the horses to compete with that offense, who's arguably the best offense in the country.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I'm running with Washington. I think they covered at 16.5. Michael Penix, honestly, he's making a Heisman run potentially. We'll see how they do in the Pac-12, but yeah, I don't expect the game to be close. So 5:00 this Saturday, East Lansing, exclusively on Peacock. So yeah, we'll see. All right, we got K Salty in the building. He says, IDK, how it SA when they said it was over the phone. Too bad for Tucker, though. Okay. Shout out K Salty in the building. Switching it over to U of M. So Reid is U of M currently ranked second right now. So are these Michigan Wolverines, are they the real deal, or you think they're fraudulent number two?
I know we had spoke about this on the weekend in our group chat. I don't necessarily think they're fraudulent. I do think they're a solid enough team. I don't think they're a solid enough team to compete for a national championship. In the fact of their team, I don't think is as good as the past 2 years. I think there's not a total stud as an Aiden Hutchinson or an Ajabo or who is that? That center they had last year was pretty solid. I think he went to Dallas or something. Ended up going to Dallas.
Oh, Mozzie
Yeah.
Smith.
Well, Mozzie Smith was he was defense, right? But
Yeah.
That center they had, I don't think he's there anymore. But either way, I just don't think there's really that game record that they had before. I could be wrong. Some guy could emerge throughout the season. I haven't honestly. They've looked good against the teams they've played against, but I haven't liked what I've seen because it's not really been great competition. Granted, a lot of schools don't play great competition in the first 3 games of the season, but the running game doesn't look to be as advertised. You know, they look okay, but as advertised, it's not really what I thought it was going to be. That O-line, I don't know if you come up against a championship team like Georgia or a good D-line like Texas has. I don't know if you're going to be running as much as you think you are. So we'll have to see. I mean, things can change throughout the season. If they play in an easy conference, now we know that MSU is not going to be a roadblock for them. Ohio State, maybe not be as good as we think they are, but they could turn it around if this quarterback situation gets figured out. Penn State looks like the only thing that's standing in their way to going back to a national championship or the Final Four.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with off Reid said. Me and Reid talked about this in the group chat over the weekend during the games. But I mean, like I told Reid, there's nothing Michigan can really do right now to impress anybody. There's gonna have to take care of business until they play the teams on a schedule that's supposed to give them a challenge and see how impressive they good. But it's handle business because as you can see, they're putting 3rd and 4th string guys into the game. So they're not really getting a competent look. It's them and Ohio State have kind of looked very similar if you watch both teams. They're just kind of cruising. They're not really blowing teams out like 63-7 like you seen Penn State do or Washington do. Kind of thing. They're just handling their business and doing what they need to do. And I know I can't really say much, and he's not wrong. It's just like we won't know until November till they play somebody with some controversy. So it's like, hey, just do what you need to do. Only thing I can say about the running game is I feel like they've made more of a focus to try to get JJ in a rhythm and on point. They do absolutely need to run the ball a lot better in these next few weeks to set up going down to the late stretch of the season. But we really won't know nothing about Michigan State or Ohio State really until the month of November, man. So it'll be interesting. But I think Penn State's the real deal though. So
yeah,
I mean, Penn State's another one of those teams. Sorry, don't even cut it you off, Raaj. But Penn State look at how good Penn State just looked last week against. Like you said, we won't know until they play some real competition. Yeah, I mean it's tough. I think that they have I think that Michigan is probably Georgia are one of the easier routes to the national title game.
I would say maybe your Florida State too. Clemson's not looking so scary. I mean, Miami. I still don't believe Miami's back, and I like Drake May, but Carolina's defense, my God, is awful. But the ACC is looking a lot better to start the season thus far. So
the only thing I'll say is that Clemson's not ranked anymore, are they? They were in the
beginning of the season.
Nope. Yeah, they dropped all the way down. They did start the season with a number 5 LSU team, which everybody thought was going to be, potentially in that Final Four teams. And Florida State looked good against them. I think Florida State's going to look good against Clemson because Clemson didn't even look really that great last week, although I think they put up 40 points or something like that. But they're allowing a lot. I don't know. Texas is a team that looks good. Obviously, Southern Cal's a team that's going to look good. Penn State, again, Washington. I think if Michigan were to run up against Notre Dame, I think they'll beat Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame's going to be anything scary. I think they have a chance to beat Ohio State, like I said. Washington, I think, would be a shootout. But I think we'll have to see when they run into these, higher ranked teams, how it'll shake out.
Yeah. So, Reid, let me know. We got K Salty tapping in. He said, Reid just hates Michigan. Who's competition besides Georgia and maybe Florida State?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I necessarily hate the program in Michigan. I've been vocal about it before. I wish the fans would kind of pump the brakes. One, I don't like the whole most winningest university thing. That always kind of irks me because they're taking wins against like the Detroit Athletic Club and like the pharmacists and doctors of like Novi as like wins. So I mean, I guess you can take it if you need something. They haven't won a national championship in a combined national championship since '94. So I mean, I get it. I can come off as a Michigan hater. They've obviously proved me wrong the last 2 years. They've won the Big Ten championship 2 times in a row, and looks like they're going to do it a third time unless Penn State's real. And we still don't know. So, I mean, they've gone to national champion, or they've gone to 2 playoffs, and they've lost both those. So, I mean, until you go there and maybe compete for a national championship, I'm still going to say I need to see it. They're one of those schools that is like, who is it? Like Notre Dame, and like they have a long storied history, but I don't think they'll ever deal in NIL really, and they don't really need a recruit, but they won't go into like a transfer portal or anything so much as other schools like an SC would do, or a Texas does, or because Texas was down for a little bit too, and they have storied past. They had to hit transfer portal for players. So, I mean, I was the first person to say Florida State was terrible. I had to sit through Willie Taggart and Jimbo when he was leaving. So, I mean, my team was bad, but I don't think Michigan fans ever admit when their team's really bad. That's my only thing about it.
Yeah, I mean,
I just gave them their flowers personally.
Yeah, I mean, this season for Michigan is national championship or bust. The only team I would say that is hands down better than them is Georgia. But I think they're better than all the teams under them in the rankings. They're better than Florida State, LSU, SC, Ohio State, all those teams. So I think they're going to win the Big Ten again this year. They're going to get back to the playoff. They just got to show up. When you go against the big balls, the TCUs, the Georgias, got to show up. So, yes, it's definitely national championship or bust. And J.J. McCarthy right now is first in QBR in college football with 95.3. So I know they haven't played, great competition or anything like that, but he is first in QBR right now.
Hey, real quick before we get off the college football topic, since Reid did bring up his Florida State Seminoles, I do want to bring up Jimbo Fisher real quick, because since I want to ask Reid a question, Raaj. So what are you thinking about this whole Jimbo Fisher thing? Because he signed a 10-year contract extension back in 2017, as we know, when LSU had a head opening and they got scared and gave him a 10-year extension. If they fired him after this season, they would owe him $77 million. So I really don't know what they should do, but like I said, I've never been sold on him. I don't think he's the guy. What do you think Texas A&M should do?
I mean, first let me say I'm happy he left. He did bring my team a national championship in 2013 with Crab Leg Jameis. So that made me, I'm happy about that. But when he left, I was fine. He was falling apart at the end of his coaching career with Florida State. Personally, I mean, they dipped into and did a major NIL deal too. I think he's just kind of over the hump. You owe him that much money. I feel like you got to keep him. I mean, as bad as it is, you got to keep him, I think, because you can't really show your donors all this, hope and dreams. And then all of a sudden this guy's, what, is he 3 years in, 4 years in? You got to get rid of him. So I'd keep him for maybe 2 more years, let him live out half of his contract. And doesn't live up to that, then I guess you got to cut ties. But it's almost like a Mel Tucker thing where they would have been kind of in the same situation if this whole, hubbub didn't come up with him. You would have owed him a lot of money. So I think you got to keep him. You have to. There's nothing you can do about it. You got to bite the bullet.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I feel bad for them Texas A&M fans because he's not getting the job done no matter what he does. Give 48 points to a Miami team who has no explosiveness on the outside or receiver position. It was a 180 flip after that touchdown they had. So I was just like, whoa, when I turned that game on.
I don't even like our head coach, to be honest with you, at Florida State. So I mean, he's showing he's his team's doing well, but I still don't trust Mike Norvell that much.
That's fair. That's fair. He's got to show you though. But I like his progress more than I like what Jimbo's done in 6 years. So
I just said I wish they wouldn't have been so scared and actually offered Dion a contract.
100%. I thought he was going to take.
Now they're showing like this. I mean, it was like a match made in heaven. Like it was like a gift fell in your lap. He's like your most successful product from your school of all time, and he obviously wanted to coach there. And then they were like, "No, we're not going to give you money." And he went to Jackson State, proved everybody wrong. Now he's proven everybody wrong at CU. So,
yeah. All right, closing it out with Michigan. Reid, they're 40.5-point favorites. Do they cover?
Against Bowling Green, yeah. Yeah, I think so. Bowling Green is like, I might as well be UConn and have no, or not, Butler and have no football team.
Adrian, you think they cover the 40.5?
40.5 is a lot, especially with these teams are so bad, and Michigan gets up so fast on these last two teams early. I'll say no, they don't cover. They'll probably be up 35 to nothing in the first half, and then put all the third and fourth strings in. But it won't be close. But I say Bowling Green covers.
I will say that's sorry. Go ahead, Raj, I'll say it afterwards.
No, I was just going to say I think Bowling Green covers as well. Michigan hasn't covered the last 2 weeks, and I don't think Michigan's going to cover. It's going to be a blowout, but I think Bowling Green covers the 40.5.
I will say something about this Michigan team. And I don't know if it is them putting in, their third, fourth stringers. They don't run up the score like Oregon did against Portland State or whoever it was, and it was 80-7. Or when Arkansas, or was it Arkansas State that lost to Oklahoma 71-0? It's like, dude, let those kids. Like, I don't know. I think that was classless to do. Those kids are out there playing. They can't like tap out. There's no mercy rule, and they just allowed them to put up 73 points. The coach was crying for Arkansas State it was horrible. So Michigan, that is something nice that Michigan does, is not just run up the score on these, UNLVs and no names. Which UNLV I actually thought kind of looked okay in the first quarter, first 10 minutes of the quarter, but that was about it.
Yeah. Shout out Ack in the building. Says college football is a box of chocolates. Never know what you'll get.
My mama told me.
All right, so sticking with college football here, Colorado now 2-0. They blew out Nebraska. They got Colorado State this Saturday, 10 p.m. So, Adrian, is it realistic that this Colorado team can win the Pac-12?
I don't want to sound like a hater. I know I'm gonna sound like a hater. He's getting so much love, and I'm very proud of the job Deion's doing, and he's revitalized that program that's been dead for the last 2 decades, man. And I think he can do it, but I just think say they won the Pac-12 this year is a stretch with USC, Washington, Oregon. I just think there's the top half of that league is too good. I think Colorado's is another year behind, especially like I've said, they don't have any depth yet. That hasn't showed yet. The way they played in that first half against Nebraska was bad, and Nebraska was trying to give them that game. And if you do that to Oregon or USC or Oregon State or Utah, they'll just wear on you. And I just think Colorado's going to wear down later in the season. I still think they'll be good, 7 or 8 games. I think that's reasonable in my opinion. Slow and steady wins the race, but people are so quick to react to just he's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's just like, okay, there are 2 opponents. TCU is a little overrated. Nebraska, I don't know what they're doing. They can't even snap the football right. But all in all, chance to win, no. But to win the Pac-12, I'm going to say no.
Okay. Where you at with Colorado? You think they can win the Pac-12?
Yeah, no, I'm with Adrian. And again, my one friend is a huge Deion supporter, big Deion supporter. Part of my family is big Deion supporter because, as I said last time, my nephew goes to CU. So my brother-in-law, who is also a Florida State fan, now is a partial CU fan because his son goes there. So and Deion coaches, so support a fellow Florida State Seminole. But I don't want to sound like a hater when I say this. His team is putting up major points against against these teams. I get it, but like Adrian said, Nebraska was handing you that game with 4 turnovers. That quarterback that Nebraska had two fumbles or 3 interceptions and a fumble, something crazy like that. He looked like Josh Allen. It was just unreal. Like he couldn't hold on to the ball. He had like butterfingers. So, do I think they beat SC? No, because I think that, like Adrian said, they lack depth. I don't think that the offense is as explosive if they play a better defense, because that Nebraska defense was looking really tight too. That Nebraska defense was looking really good. I was looking at their schedule. I think they beat Colorado State because it's like an at-home rivalry game, their biggest rivalry. So I think that's going to be big. But they go to Oregon. I think that's going to be a tough game for them to win. SC comes to Colorado. I know it can probably get loud there for that, but I think SC is just going to out-talent them. I think they'll have trouble with UCLA, but I do think they can ultimately beat them. And I think they'll lose to Utah. Oregon State's ranked ahead of them at 16. They have Uangalele, the ex-Clemson quarterback. So there's people that are going to give them some trouble. I think 9 games is realistically what they're going to win, 8 to 9. But I don't see them winning that division.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're definitely trending in the right direction, but yeah, some tough ones coming up after this Colorado State game, like you said. At Oregon, then USC, close it out with Utah. Luckily, they don't got Washington on the schedule, but
yeah,
it's still a tough schedule, nevertheless. Though the Pac-12
the last 2 weeks of their season is at Washington State, which is very tough to play in Pullman. They just beat Wisconsin, really good Wisconsin team. They got Cam Ward's a good quarterback.
Wisconsin Badgers.
Yeah,
I know, man. I looked bad on that one.
And then they close out at Utah the Thanksgiving weekend. So you want to talk about playing the air raid team and then going into Utah, one of the craziest stadiums in the Pac-12, and it's probably going to be super cold. They're super physical. I know they escaped the victory over Baylor last weekend, but it's a good Utah team. This schedule is not easy, so if they can.
Utah hasn't even had their starting quarterback, Cameron Rising, who has won 2 back-to-back Pac-12 championships, correct? I think he won last year and the year before, and then he almost beat Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Like, people forget about that. He put up like 42 points against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. So he comes back, that team's healthy. Like, that's going to be a tough way to end it. And those bigger name schools are going to be hard to compete against because, again, go back to depth. I mean, that Colorado State team is basically, close to the Jackson State team as it gets.
Yeah. At Oregon after this Colorado State game, then versus UFC, if they can steal one of those games, they'll definitely be in good position. They'll definitely be in good position right there.
Do you think Shadur gets a nod or Travis Hunter gets a nod for the Heisman? If they continue?
Yes. Right? Yeah. If they continue playing like this, yes, absolutely. I definitely could see it. Just having Dion one as your dad and having two to spotlight, they have all the attention on them right now, so they continue to play well. I definitely think he has a chance to get to New York. He has 903 passing yards, 7 touchdowns in 2 games. He's already shattering school records, and school's been around 80 to 100 years. So I'm proud of him. He's showing the world that they thought he couldn't do it because he played at a smaller school, but he was a hell of a high school quarterback too. So
stats are beating Michael Penix's stats right now.
Let's see.
Yeah. Sanders will definitely be at that ceremony next to JJ for sure.
Yeah, he's second in the country in passing yards, only behind Braden Schrager of Hawaii.
Penix, I think, is third or something like that. Yeah, 800 and something.
Fourth with 859. Caleb Williams is third with 878.
Where's my guy? What did you say?
You got QBR pulled up? You see
Yeah, I got a rating here. Let me see. Hold on.
He was like 16th in QBR or something. I just saw it.
16?
No, maybe it was higher than that.
Yeah, he got to be higher than that.
13th. I'm sorry, 13th.
He's 13th in QBR?
Shadur's 13th, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he'd be Jordan Travis from Florida State's 9th.
Yeah, he has thrown some inaccurate balls, to be honest with you. He's overthrown a lot of his guys. But Keon Coleman, man.
And Johnny.
What? Yeah, Johnny. What is I haven't even looked at Travis. I can look it up myself. You guys don't have to worry about it.
Some of the feedback here, Axe says, I do look forward to seeing Colorado playing USC. Now, if they win these bigger games, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that you like you said, you sneak out one of those wins on those teams, then yeah, you're gonna look pretty nice.
For sure. All right, cool. Moving on here. Let's switch over to the NFL. We threw Monday Night Football last night. Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays, torn Achilles, out for the season. Me personally, I think the Jets, they should stick with Zach Wilson, keep him at quarterback because he's been there through training camp. He knows the system. He knows the plays. But if I was the Jets, I would sign Carson Wentz. He doesn't got a job right now. I'm not saying bring Carson Wentz in as a starter, but just put it behind Zach Wilson just in case he implodes. That's what I would do. So, Reid, do you still think the Jets can make the playoffs?
I mean, dude, after yesterday, how bad that Bills team looked, and that defense of theirs looked really good. I mean, both those corners, obviously, they have DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner are great on the outside. They slow down a quarterback from passing the ball too fast to allow Quinn Williams and some of those other big guys to get in there. So do I think they can? Yeah, I mean, they already have the win over Buffalo. That helps. I mean, they obviously have to play. The Patriots team looked okay. Miami obviously looked good. That's a matchup I'm interested to see is Tyreek versus Sauce because I think Tyreek mainly plays on Sauce's side. So I agree with you. I think they should stick with Zach Wilson. I think he looked a little bit better. Maybe it's the Aaron Rodgers coaching, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he learned a little bit, humbled himself. He looked a little bit better, especially that drive where they scored the touchdown to Garrett Wilson. I think they could make a wild card spot for sure. I definitely think they could be in a wild card spot.
All right, for me, I mean, can they and will they are two different answers in my world. The biggest issue that we've seen, you notice that Aaron Rodgers took 4 snaps yesterday before he got hurt, 75 seconds into his Jets career, and that all 4 snaps, you notice he got nothing but pressure on him the entire time. So I think that's the biggest concern for this New York Jets team. Was Zach Wilson definitely should be the starting quarterback. I mean, there's nothing really left out in the QB market right now, but a bunch of washed up veterans. So your Carson Wentz take, I could agree with that because he can move a little bit. I read a report earlier about an hour ago. It's talking about trying to call Chad Henne to bring him in as a backup, which he did a solid job as Patrick Mahomes' backup. But I mean, there's not really a lot of options. So I mean, whoever they get, I think is going to be a decent choice. It's tough. But with that defense, they run 10 deep on the defensive line. I think the defense will keep them in most of these games this year. I think they'll fall just short, especially not having Aaron Rodgers, because you take that ability to make some easy throws and some easy plays. I know they have Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, and stuff, but it makes it a lot tougher with Zach Wilson, especially didn't expect to be in this situation.
What about a guy like Cam Newton? Cam Newton's still out there.
I think Cam's done. I think he's so far. I think he's comfortable. I think he's content.
No arm. I mean, we saw him with the Patriots. He can't run, and the arm isn't there. I saw a report earlier that once again a Kaepernick story comes out where his agent reached out and he's interested, and it's just like there's all these guys that I don't think should be called. I agree with you. I think Carson Wentz is probably your best option. You can definitely get him for cheap now, or I mean, I don't know. Maybe make a trade and see if Patriots have $1 billion quarterbacks. There's a lot of teams that have a lot of quarterbacks that are young guys. Maybe go and see if they're willing to get one of them. I know you probably want a veteran, but yeah, I think Carson Wentz is probably your best option. Another guy that I think would be okay to back up, and he unfortunately got cut, is Colt McCoy from Arizona. He looks serviceable in certain situations. He can't move probably as well as Carson, but I think he's more durable than Carson. Won't cost you as much. I think either one of these guys are going to be on a vet minimum. I think people said like Matt Ryan and like all. It's like no, nobody wants Matt Ryan. Nobody wants Ben DiNucci. No, get out of here. Like take guys that can actually throw the ball. Yeah, I think you stick with Zach Wilson. I think he looks fine. Just their only other guy is someone we're familiar with, which is David Blau on their practice squad. So like he's not anything to write home about either. So
yeah, it's a bunch of Jags out there.
Yeah.
Just the guy. Just a
Yeah.
bunch of Jags out there. So yeah, Carson Wentz or Colt McCoy. I think those are two of the best options.
I'll take Colt McCoy over Carson Wentz.
Yeah, those two guys are definitely the top two options for sure, in my opinion.
Look at the next three schedule. Look at the next three games for the Jets: at Dallas, and you've seen their defense. Versus New England at home, and then versus Kansas City, and then you got to go to Denver after that. That schedule that's brutal, and then Philadelphia.
Brutal.
That's a brutal 5-game stretch.
Yeah.
I know that schedule was put together thinking Aaron Rodgers was going to be in that backfield.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, now I have a question for you. Let's say Zach Wilson has turned over a new leaf, and he's serviceable. He's a top 15, 16 quarterback in the league. He's anywhere from Goff down to, Goff, Geno, Kirk area kind of quarterback. He could sneak one of those games out. They might be able to beat the Patriots in a defensive battle, and they'll probably beat Denver if he's that good. KC, they got Chris Jones back, and Travis Kelce will be back by that time. So, no, they're not winning that one. I don't think they beat Dallas next week, even though I don't have faith in Dak. I think Dak even looked bad against a horrible, abysmal Giants team.
He didn't have to do much, so I'm not going to take any stock until I see him next week because their defense played lights out. The offense didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, Cowboys 9.5 point favorite Sunday against the Jets. You think they cover? Think they cover that read?
I don't know because that defense did look good, but is that just a product of the weather? Are they in Jerry's world? Or are they in
Jerry's world?
Yeah.
No, I don't think they do. I think this is going to be a real big defensive game. I think both of these teams are going to just have defensive stances. So I don't think they cover. I think they win by a touchdown.
As much as I hate the Dallas Cowboys, I think they're my most hated team in the league. I say they do cover because Buffalo's defense is not as vicious as Dallas's defense. Especially, I got to give Micah Parsons all the credit in the world. That man is unblockable. Their corners are elite. The defensive line elite. They're just fast. I think Zach Wilson's he's gonna be in for a whirlwind right come Sunday. So I'll say Dallas covers.
Yeah, I think Dallas covers as well. Zach Wilson just can't push the ball down the field. Even when they put him in, handoff. He turned into a game manager. They didn't want him to make the big mistake. So I think Dallas covers, man. Zach Wilson he can't push the ball down the field. I think that defense is gonna give him a lot of trouble.
I will say, man, though, that was working out for him. Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, that two-headed monster, was really working out for him. And Buffalo's O-line or D-line isn't a slouch of a D-line either. I mean, I don't think I don't think Buffalo's corners are any good, but I think the Jets' corners are gonna the secondary and that D-line will give the O-line of Dallas and Dak a lot more trouble than people think. I think the Jets' corners are better than Dallas's corners.
So far, I'm looking good on my prediction that Buffalo won't make the playoffs. And I did put a bet in that probably 2 months ago that Miami will win the AFC East, which is looking good so far. That offense is looking super explosive. So I mean, just something to watch out for. I think Miami is the team to beat in that division.
It all depends on how healthy Tua stays.
For sure. All right, let's get to some of the feedback here. Ack says, if the Jets commit to Zach Wilson, that is waving the white flag. They have a solid team. Signing someone capable of completing NFL passes is paramount. Zach isn't an option. So he's actually saying he doesn't think the Jets should stick with Zach Wilson.
See who's available.
There's not a lot out there, like we said. You're gonna have to try and trade for a guy, and I don't even know who's gonna have a team that's.
The guy I was thinking of was Trey Lance, but now he's on Dallas. That would have been perfect for him.
Yeah, K. Salty, Carson Wentz probably best option since he can run, and then Ack gives us a guy. Jets should try Phillip Rivers.
No, absolutely not.
guy's been out of the league for how long?
2 years.
Yeah, not. Phillip Rivers will be a straight statue back there. Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, stay away from those guys. They're long in the tooth. Cam Newton, those guys. Colt McCoy, Carson Wentz, somebody like that. Or here we go, K Salty. Call New Orleans for Jameson Winston. They're not using him.
I was gonna say that Andy Dalton, maybe you could see if Andy Dalton.
He's in Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a Tyrod Taylor. I don't know.
Tyrod.
Yeah.
Could call Cleveland for Jacoby. I mean, I don't know all these guys, but the only guy maybe is Jameis, and he's still kind of a what if? Maybe it's because the Jets would have a better team. But I mean, are any of these guys? Do we know if any of these veterans are going to be better than what Zach Wilson might be able to produce? Like, you still don't know. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'll see how he plays against Dallas and change my tune. But as of right now, you played a Buffalo team that was that could be a possible favorite for a Super Bowl, and he played. I mean, okay. Again, it was defense that mainly helped him. So we'll see. But I don't know. I don't know if any of these backups I'm really taking over Zach Wilson at this point. I don't think any of these guys are really going to win you that many more games.
Nothing moves the needle for me. So I think from the Jets, you just roll what you got and make the best of it.
I think the best option is signing Carson Wentz and Colt McCoy and saying this might be the best option of what we got.
Yeah, for sure. And even if you sign those guys, still stay with Wilson. Stay with Wilson for sure. All right, last one here from Ack. Ack says maybe these guys haven't watched many games Wilson has played in. He's worse than Tebow. Skip it. Call Tebow.
Yeah, that's not happening. He's not looked great, but he's a hell of a lot better than Tim Tebow. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I agree. I've watched Zach Wilson play. I was a big Zach Wilson. I think you even were, Raj, when we were talking about it in the draft. I was a big Zach Wilson guy when the draft was coming around. But, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, he looked bad on a bad Jets team when he first got drafted in his rookie year, getting thrown right into the stables. But now he hasn't backed up Aaron Rodgers, but he had a whole offseason to ask Aaron Rodgers questions, see how Aaron Rodgers thinks. It could change his tune. We don't know. I have to see him play against Dallas and maybe against KC to change my mind, but I get it. He looked bad before. Quarterbacks can change. I mean, we don't know. Look what happened with Trey Lance.
Right. All right, so yeah, sticking with the NFL, Adrian, your Steelers lost to the 49ers 30-7. What wrong with
That's my upset of the week.
Listen, man, I just did a podcast. By the way, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. But man, 49ers just came in, punched them in the mouth, plain and simple. And by the time they tried to recover, it was just too late, man. There's too many mistakes, too many missed balls, missed tackles in the hole on Christian McCaffrey. Deontay Johnson going down, Cam Hayward going down, 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. They just came in and did what they need to do, and they didn't let up, man. And just it's one of those games. I feel like every team has a game, at least one game during the season where you got to burn the tape, man. And just there's nothing good that came out of it except for T.J. Watt being dominant once again and having 3 sacks. But all in all, just a bad performance. If they don't clean it up, then a lot of people will be losing their jobs, and we'll be having a lot of questions that need to get answered. The good sign is I think Kenny had some throws where he missed early in his game. He got a lot of pressure. Offensive line didn't look the greatest. And then the biggest key was the fact that you didn't get a good run-to-pass ratio. They got behind so early. They had to throw the ball 46 times. Najee Harris got six touches in this game. 6 touches. They ran the ball 10 times. That is a recipe for disaster. And then a lot of Steelers fans are not happy with our offensive coordinator, which is Matt Canada. I think if the season doesn't go well, he will be fired. He will be the first person that everybody looks towards and wants his head gone, and they already have in the last year or two. So I just think it's one of those things. They better figure it out and get it moved. And get it done. Monday night, and they're home against the Cleveland Browns, who just whooped up on the Cincinnati Bengals, and they are just as physical. So this is going to tell me a lot come Monday night how the season's really going to go.
I don't have much to add. That was my upset of the week, but I didn't end up getting to watch it. I had some stuff in the first. I didn't get a lot of the 1:00 games, so I just know that was my upset of the week, and they didn't win.
Yeah, bad. I thought Pittsburgh was going to cover on that one. I thought as well. They got a nice put together roster, nice coach, and yeah, I was surprised that they got blew up like that. So, Adrian, do you think they win again on Monday night against Cleveland?
I do think they're gonna find a way to pull it out. They typically play Cleveland pretty well. You know how that rivalry is. And the stat that everybody needs to pay attention to is they've won 20 straight games on Monday Night Football. I believe they haven't lost since 1991, and that was before I was even born. So I'm gonna believe that Mike Tomlin will get the guys up and going because you can't have a performance like that again. So he has so much motivation this week. I think they'll be able to get up and go and be competitive. And how about George Pickens has to play better too as well. He needs to get open and get the ball. They're gonna have to be better. And I don't think you can be any worse than what they were.
He's in for a big week with potentially no Johnson, no Deontay.
Yeah, he's not. He's definitely not playing. They're probably gonna put him on IR. Cam's already on IR. So I don't want to hear nothing about Steelers fans or anybody complaining about injuries. Every NFL team's dealing with injuries. So you're just gonna have to find a way to pull it out, man, and get the job done. You don't see Baltimore complaining. J.K. Dobbins tears his Achilles. So you don't hear them complaining, man. You just got to figure it out.
Yeah. I definitely need Pickens to step it up. I got him on my fantasy team. So, yeah, he definitely got to step it all the way up. All right, let's see. Ad Care says Deshaun Watson is back. Pitt ain't winning.
I don't know about that one yet.
We beat him last year, so we beat Deshaun last year, so I can confidently say that's a fact. So we'll see how it goes. It's a division game, so they're always low scoring, tough, physical. So
yeah, the Browns is my sleeper team for the season started. I said the Browns are going to win 11 games for the season started. I'm sticking with that.
You got to give Deshaun Watson a better than 154 with 1-1 and a 67.3 rating to call him back. I just have to say that.
Okay. I mean, the stat line isn't that pretty, but that was a nice, convincing win over Cincinnati. So
Joe Burrow looked horrible.
Worst game of his career.
Yeah, he looked horrible. I will say that. He looked as bad as Josh Allen did. Josh Allen looked like garbage too.
Yeah. All right, so sticking with the NFL, the Lions, the home opener, they pulled it out against the Chiefs. A lot of buzz around this team right now. So Reid, is it division title or bust for the Lions right now?
Man, let me tell you, I was so excited when I watched that Green Bay Chicago game, and I watched Chicago get torched by Green Bay. And what I saw from Green Bay is a lackluster defensive line of Chicago getting to Jordan Love and pressuring Jordan Love. If their defensive line did that, I can't wait to see what Lions' defensive line is going to do. And Minnesota goes and loses to Baker and Tampa. So I think it's nothing but a wide open street for you. You may drop one to Green Bay this year in Green Bay. I think that's a possibility. They did look okay. It all depends on how healthy their wide receivers stay. Dobbs and Watson always seem to be hurt. But, yeah, no, I think it's a wide open path for the Lions. Again, knock on wood. Injuries play a factor in football. So everybody's got to stay healthy, and we got to get some guys back like Mosley. And get Gibbs more involved. That was my biggest gripe against the Kansas City team. I know that Dan Campbell said he wanted to ease them into it. We talked about it last week. So get Gibbs more involved. And yeah, I think this division is nothing but handed to you on a silver platter.
I definitely, in my opinion, definitely think this is a division title or bust. You have the perfect opportunity staring you right in the face right now to finally take advantage of something that's going your way. Nothing ever goes the Lions' way, and this is the year that they need to capitalize on it. You got to remember, Minnesota, Kirk Cousins is on the last year of his deal. Their defense is in shambles right now. No Dalvin Cook. They look just pedestrian, even though with the performance of Justin Jefferson. I think Green Bay.
Yeah, my guy Jordan Addison, he looked good too.
He did. And then Green Bay with the addition of their defense is nasty. Their defense is good. And I think Jordan Love is coming to his own. He doesn't have to do a lot to make this team go. And mind you, they went without their best receiver, Christian Watson, was out with the hamstring injury. So I think Green Bay is the biggest challenger. Chicago's rebuilding. They can't throw the ball down the field. Justin Fields doesn't have a lot of help. Their defense is still not good, even with the additions of two linebackers in free agency. So I think this is just sitting here right here on the silver platter for the Lions to go and take this. I mean, these next two games you got at home against Seattle, which I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm booking that as a W. Barry Sanders is getting a statue unveiled. So I don't think the Lions are losing that game. And then you bring in a young Atlanta team who's really talented, but I think the Lions will win that game, followed by going at Green Bay. So that's when we're really going to see some things. But I just think the Lions have the biggest opportunity in front of them that they had since I can remember in my lifetime, and they need to take it by the throat and squeeze it, man. Just do something for the city. And I think you're giving the fans what they want. I think they can have the best home field advantage in the NFL because its fan base is starving for a winner. You come in here, you know how hard it's going to be, how loud it is. I'm sure we've all been in Lions games, and they've been bad, and the fans have cheered. So now that they're good and they have high expectations, nobody's going to come over here, going to be able to come in here and win easily. They're gonna have to take it from Lions. And I think with Dan Cameron is still this, I don't know what it is. They just want to play hard for him, and they play just like he used to play. So I think they're gonna win this division and get a home playoff game. And the day that happens, I'm telling you, it's gonna be rocking down here, man.
For sure. Actually, the Lions are certainly the best in that division. Okay, I mean it's only 1 week. We'll see. I think Green Bay will have something to say about it, but I think the timing there is right for the Lions. I like the coaching staff. I definitely like Dan Campbell, so it's definitely theirs for the taking. Okay, Salty FTP. So the Lions this Sunday, Ford Field, 1 o'clock against Seattle. Lions favorite 5.5 points. Reid, do they cover?
Yeah, I think I'd take that. I think they're going to win by 2 scores personally.
I got Lions winning by 10, 31-21.
Whew, man, I think some Kool-Aid has been drunk today. No, I think the Lions win the game as well. I think Seattle's going to cover though. I think Seattle's going to cover that 5.5, but the Lions are going to win. They're going to get them back. Seattle came here and won last year. That was the reason why the Lions didn't get in the playoffs last year. The Lions definitely going to get them back. They're going to win this game, but I do think Seattle covers though.
I got a question for you, Raaj. I want to know what you think. You and then Reid, you can follow up with this. In the NFC right now, as we all know, it's the weaker conference of the both conferences. In the NFC right now, where would you rank the Lions at?
Right now,
yeah,
I would rank them 4th. I'm still putting Dallas, San Fran, and Philly in front of them. I can't. They can't leap those 3 teams, but I'll give them 4th right now.
Are we just going off this week or just off of everything? I mean, if you're going off of just,
I said I'm going off everything.
Okay, I was going to say if you're going off this week, I'm putting them at maybe 3. I'd still keep them at 3. I think the 49ers are the best team in the NFC right now. That defense is too good. I'm still up in the air about Brock Purdy. But I put them 3. I do think they're a little bit better than Dallas just because I think their offense is, if they don't play each other this year, right?
They do not.
I think if they match up against each other, I think Dallas has the edge. They don't play this year.
Yes, they do. I'm sorry, they play Monday night, Saturday, December 30th, the day before New Year's Eve on ESPN.
Okay, so I mean, we'll see that. I think the Lions' offense is a little bit better than people are giving them credit for after that week. I think that they would be able to handle, but I think their offensive scale to Dallas's defensive scale is more even than Dallas's offensive scale to the Lions' defensive scale.
Jameson Williams is the biggest X factor with this Lions team. Yeah. If he comes back and plays well, he's gonna add that explosive element to where teams can't crowd the box, and Jared Goff can do that play action and throw the ball deep. But he needs to come back, and they got to implement him fast into this offense so they can get to rolling and get into this divisional push and possibly host a playoff game and beat somebody of significance.
I think Mosley too. If he comes back, I know we haven't seen much of him because he's been injured a lot, but he has high potential. If he stays healthy, that'll be a big add for them too at corner. I think JMO's a huge factor, and then just the health of the O-line. I think that's the biggest factor of all of it because the depth too of the O-line is not great, but that's the biggest factor in my mind is having all of them stay healthy. Knock on wood.
Yeah, if the O-line can stay healthy, he's definitely one of the best in the league, and I think even in that Kansas City game, a lot of the rookies look good. I like Laporta look good. Gibbs look good.
5 for 5.
Yeah. Jack Campbell, the snaps he got in, he looked decent. So their rookies came in and they look pretty good.
I think Campbell needs to start at the linebacker position. I think he got a feel for it now. I think he needs to start the linebacker position. Cycle in Rodrigo, maybe for Campbell and leave Anzalone out there if you want to. But I think Campbell looks really good. I think he needs to be a starting linebacker for this team.
They need to give Gibbs a few more touches. He only got 9 touches, so I think they need to get him at least 10 to 12 touches a game right now. I think that up there. I think Ben Johnson's going to figure that out, but I like what I've seen from him for sure because he's super explosive.
I said 13 for this week. 13? I think they're going to try and unleash him.
Yeah, he got 2. Yeah, he only had two targets, 2 catches, and he had 7 carries for 42 yards. So I think get him the ball.
He looked good on those carries. He looked really good on those carries.
Yeah, I guess they figure they're going to ease the rookies in. They're not going to just put a big load on their their shoulders right away.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but they look good though. They look good though for sure. All right, well, yeah, there it is. Well, anything else you guys want to add before we get up out of here?
No over-unders, Raj? Come on, broke my heart tonight.
No over-unders, man. That's all I got.
I think that's it, man.
I'm good. That's all I got. We get NFL football. The college slate's terrible. Just being quite honest. Michigan State versus Washington, Kansas State versus Missouri. Michigan plays nobody, so I mean nothing really good. The NFL obviously will have some good games, but so.
Yeah, I got to figure out. I might have to go ahead and do the Peacock, man, because I want to watch that State and Washington game.
I might see if I can go to someone's house and if it has it already. Adrian, you got an open chair? No, I'm kidding.
I got an open chair. I got Peacock, so.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, Florida State plays BC, so that's not a very good, interesting game either.
27.5-point favorite, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that Colorado State game might be the most exciting game Saturday night.
I'll be watching that one.
10:30. It's a 10:30 kick, I believe. So super late.
Oh, living on the East Coast, man.
Tell me about it.
There it is. All right. Well, yeah. Next Tuesday, 8:00. We'll be right back at y'all with another sports update. We up out of the state.
My God, another great